Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas, and today is a very important discussion that we are having, and that relates to the important section of our society where eventually everybody is reaching, and that is elders. हम सब जानते हैं कि जब बच्चे का जन्म होता है माँ बाप कितने खुश होते हैं। ऐसा लगता है कि संसार की सबसे बड़ी उपलब्धि जो है वो उनके हिस्से आ गई है, और बच्चे को बड़े होते हुए देखना एक ऐसा सुंदर अनुभव होता है जो सभी बार बार अपनी यादों में छूते रहते हैं कि जब मेरा बेटा मेरी बेटी ऐसी थी, ये करती थी, वो करती थी। एंड फास्ट फॉरवर्ड 20-30 साल बाद वो बच्चे माँ बाप के साथ कैसा बिहेव कर रहे हैं उसको हम अपनी सोसाइटी में देख रहे हैं। और मतलब मिक्स्ड बैगेज है, बट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द इश्यू रिलेटिंग टू एल्डर अब्यूज, and there is Elder Abuse Awareness Day observed by United Nations on 15 June. So I thought it will be an opportunity for us to meditate on this particular aspect. और मेरा सौभाग्य है कि मनोविज्ञान के साथ जुड़ी हुई और लेखिका के रूप में भी सक्रिय डॉक्टर नलिनी जुठानी जी हमारे साथ हैं। नमस्ते, स्वागत है आपका।
नमस्ते।
और हमारे साथ मैं यूं कहूं कि हर अच्छे कार्य में पूरे समर्पण से सक्रिय और सीनियर्स के साथ में भी कई संगठनों के द्वारा अपनी सेवाएं देने वाले, और इंडिया होम के प्रेसिडेंट भी और अन्य संगठनों के साथ भी सक्रिय रूप से अपनी ऊर्जा को का निवेश करने वाले मुकुंद मेहता जी हमारे साथ हैं। मुकुंद जी, स्वागत है आपका। नमस्ते।
नमस्ते जी।
तो विषय पर आने से पहले नलिनी जी, let us talk a little bit about the significance of having this extension in one's family. What are the expectations, or how is this phenomenon based on not just being as a mother but also having studied psychology and having worked with so many people? Talk to me a little bit about, with smile, about the significance of becoming a mother. मतलब उसका क्या अर्थ हम लेते हैं?
Ashok ji, I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother. I have a mother who is 95 years old.
Wow.
So I have seen intergenerational communication. And it all boils down to how we raise our children from birth. When our children are given the love, with that, if we fail to give some sort of values, value of respect, value of understanding the difference between older and younger, and what happens as they grow older, they begin to forget that if those values are not ingrained from the very early age.
Sorry,
So,
Nalini. Sorry, Nalini. I'll come back to you. See, what happened is you jumped into right away about values and all. There is one mindset. I mean, the way I'm looking at it, while you are becoming a father or mother, there are very few people who are you're consciously thinking about inculcating good values. They are just emotionally happy. They feel a sense of fulfillment, and that leads to a different kind of what should I say behavior pattern that we see, especially among young parents. So I'll come back to you, but Mukunji, talk to me a little bit about just the sheer joy of having now become a father or mother. Is a parent thinking about value at that time?
Ashok ji, I think when a child is born, the entire love and affection is on the child by the parents. They don't expect anything from the child at that level. And the way the child grows up, that is the most important thing, because child is a copycat of the parents. If there is a whatever the child sees in the family, perceives in the family, I think that will go into the mind of a child, and that's how the development of a child takes place. And as the child grows up, naturally is surrounded by the environment, who are their peers, what are their school or college, wherever they go. So it is affected by the environment of the people with whom the person grows up.
Yeah,
So
I'll take the liberty of interrupting now and then because I wanted to seek Nalini ji's views on an important point that you made, which we generally believe that they are not copycat exactly, but they learn what they observe in parents. But we have seen many exceptions to that rule, Nalini ji. There are parents who did the best that they could. They were good to their own parents, and that is how the kid found environment at home. But he turns out to have different approach towards his own parents. So, as a psychiatrist or uh, based on your understanding of human mind, what are the other factors other than just the impression that as a child you get from your parents, which contribute to the kind of human being you turn out to be?
So the other aspect is the culture. We grew up in India in an extended family, and we did observe what Mukundji was talking about, how interpersonally people of different generations were working together and how they were respecting or how they were communicating with their elders, youngers, and so on. Now, we are in America. Here, we don't necessarily have all three generations under the same roof. Secondly, the influence of our environment, the school system, is so much on our children that at some point all these things become a little muddier. And at that point, the children begin to put together their freedom, their right, freedom of speech. And what's the problem? I don't agree with that. So I said that. It begins with that at a very early age. And I'm sure you will come to later age. So I'll stop here.
So yeah, that's I think very interesting. And Mukunji, now we are going step by step, and then we'll come towards the elders abuse syndrome that is now being seen not just in. I mean, it is not restricted to any country, and even in India and even villages also, and we have come across horrifying stories on various levels. But let us talk about ego. So when the kids start asserting that I think like this is my, and I think this is a very delicate space. Many times parents are actually encouraging that kind of behavior. So you must have come across parents who take pride in saying that, oh, my daughter or my son gets angry if they see something like this or if things doesn't go their way. So there is something about being aware and making kids aware about what role ego has to play. You want to say something about that?
Yes.
Mukunji first. Mukunji first. Yeah.
Okay, I think you are very right on this subject because if the parent give freedom right from the beginning as to the what are the opinions of the boy or a girl and heed to their requirements, I think then the child's path of progress goes in a separate direction. There should be some sort of a control at a young age because in our even when they go to the school in our days, as you know, Acharya Devo Bhava. Whatever the teacher says, we used to take it for granted, and naturally, teachers always used to say something good always. And we didn't oppose the teacher or anything like that. And sometimes the teacher gives the punishment also, physical punishment, and we used to bear it. Now, in this country, when the child grows up and something happens, and if a parent or the teacher gives a little beating, he will call 911. You know, that's a completely different thinking. So it is the environment in which a child grows that is most important. And here in the Western culture, I think they become more assertive at a very young age. Why not this way? Why not that way? Why not, according to what I think? So they become individualistic and subjective in their approach.
So that becoming individualistic is encouraged as a value sometimes. And I mean, Nalini, there is some balance that is required, and that delicate balance where you are giving enough freedom, yet you are providing certain framework or some basic outlines as to this is the track where you should flourish, and you should not go beyond it. So, in the extreme, what I'm saying means you don't start smoking, you don't start drinking. That is one aspect. But coming back to when we expect parents to be all knowing many times, is not the case. They have their own imperfections, they have their own psychological problems that they are facing. So, what happens is the kids grow up in a state of confusion sometimes. So, talk to me a little bit about this particular impressionable age where they are learning about life. What other tip you can extend for parents, especially when they see unruly, confrontational kids?
So, once again, all this begins at home. When child is born, and this does not start at the time when the child is a teenager, because all the things that are happening in the household, for example, if the child sees that the grandparents are not treated with respect, they are learning that that should be the norm of the household. They go outside and the teacher says, "Don't look down, look straight into my eyes and give me the answer." Now, the child has learned that when the parent is talking or scolding you, you look down. You don't look straight into their eyes, because this
Yeah,
is
yeah,
called disrespect, right?
correct.
And so the child is confused. And to navigate between the two cultures, and to take the two different values and put them together at a very vulnerable age is almost impossible. Some do it better and some cannot do it. Now, here, what happens is that the parents are giving them mixed messages. Succeed in school, you have to go and assert yourself everywhere, whether it is sports or it is academics. Come home, be quiet, do not speak. So the child doesn't know where to navigate. And there are all the adults that he's coming in contact with. However, he cannot decide what I should be doing. So both sides, the parents will call the teachers will call the parents and say, "Your child is very subdued. I don't know what's going on. He cannot compete with the other kids." And the parents are giving them mixed messages. "No, you must go and do this." So,
That is very beautifully explained. I think I would like to clap on that for you, Nalini ji, because this overlap of culture as well as inner uh, various complications that any human being might have, whether he's mother or father, doesn't make him perfect. But he has to show off that face that they know what is the way out. Now, Mukundji, in your own personal experience, if you recollect any moment where you felt that there is lack of communication because what you are saying is not being received, and the filter that they have now, which they got through their friend circle or at school, gives them a different way of looking at life. So, if you care to share that, and also referring to what Nalini ji just mentioned, any piece of advice that you may want to share for young parents?
Ashokji, I agree on that one that there is a clash of the cultures, because when we all grew up in India, the people are all homogeneous. traditionally they follow the same thing. So there is no question of why this way or why that way. But here, the culture is totally different. Parents who have come here, the first generation, they have the notions of how they grew up in India. And the child who grows up is totally in a different environment. So there is always a friction between the conversation, between the thinking, and also about their attitudes. So the best thing is, as Nalini ji said, that how the child is reared up in the family. That is important. Here, the way of life in United States, a mom gives birth, and thereafter she has to go for a job. So the child is left with the babysitter. There is a less of a bondage. So the child doesn't grasp all the ingredients that one should have done, as we used to have it in India, where the full-time attention was on the child. So there is a definitely a clash of culture that creates a big confusion.
Now, moving beyond the confusion, talking about the ground realities as we perceive them today, and I thought when we talk about elder abuse awareness, we should have some framework in our mind where they are coming from. So, how organizations like IndiaHome are playing their role in providing a little bit nest of a kind where a sense of warmth and a sense of togetherness becomes an experience of seniors here in New York, particularly. So, Nalini ji, there are various stages in one's life, and when you are alone, there is one equation that you have with your parents. Once you once you get married, then there are different possible equations that may emerge. So on that front, in the context of relationship with the elders at family, what do you see that generally changes for good, or there are some additional concerns which become a part of the experience of the seniors at home once whether boy or girl get married?
So, with your permission, I take one step back, that not only when the child becomes an adult and gets married, all the values and discipline that is taught to the child should be done by two parents with one set of mind, so that the child does not get away saying, "But mommy said that I can do it," and daddy says, "No, you cannot do it," and vice versa. So no matter how much of disagreement they have behind the closed doors of their bedroom, when they come out in front of the child, it should be one front. That is the most critical thing in raising the child. Second thing is, when the child becomes an adult, gets married, you're bringing in now another set of values from the spouse and the family of the spouse. I never understood why people used to look at what's the family like of the guy that I'm looking at. But now I understand that children are reflection of their parents, like Mukundji said. That reflection is bound to be. So if you find that the child is coming from a family where there is a great deal of alcohol and drug abuse going on, the child has learned that as a way of life. Now you cannot expect that he's going to change. Another phrase that we use very commonly: he's okay now, but he will change. You will change him. And that does not occur. So I used to tell my children, marry similar values. When you begin to see and date your boyfriend or girlfriend, try to find out more about how this person was raised. What were the values? Marry similar values. Everything else is going to fade away in life, from looks to everything else. But the values will remain, and that's what you will pass on to your generation to follow. So that's how I look at it. Nobody changes. The child cannot change the spouse, and the influence of the spouse on the child depends on how their interpersonal relationship is like. But in this country, what the parents think is the right thing to do between the two spouses does not work, because
Absolutely,
because
absolutely.
they
So,
are adults. They are adults, and that they will not take very kindly.
so very similar values is a mantra that I wanted to repeat, and I think it is very uh, crystal clear way of giving some outlines in helping anyone decide what kind of life partner one should have. But then again, it has many questions, because when you get swayed by that which we commonly say, प्यार हो गया है, then you forget about values, you don't even think about your parents, you just look at the person. And so not getting into that side, coming back to our track slightly from the context, that brings us to the problem which seniors face. And I'll recollect very briefly what I heard. A widow mother with two well settled boys uh, got them married. Women now are different, they are asserting themselves in society. So these both were working women. Now they wanted the household to be conducted in certain fashion. They wanted to work in a systematic manner, and they were imposing rules on their own mother-in-law, to the extent that if the son comes late from work and mother cooks something for him, there was halla gulla, gulla at home. I'm laughing because I'm not a part of that scene. But these kind of situations causes mental trouble for the senior, which are very difficult to address. Mukundji, I gave you this example from India. Do you see things are somewhat here at some households here in America also, in among Indian Americans?
Yes, I think so, because I think when we live in this country, the grown-up children who are married and the parents have to understand and they have to compromise what are the situations prevailing in this country. Because when both the spouses are working and they come home, naturally they don't have much time for the household work. At the same time, the parents can't demand anything from the children to such an extent that it will be overburden on them. So it is also the responsibility of the parents should understand that what are the limitations on the part of the children that they can do. And mother or the father who is elderly should adjust as far as possible. But I think as the parents age, there are different opinions. They think that I raise my children and this is the way they treat me. So it's a frustration on the part of the parents to see how the things have changed, how the world has changed. And sometimes parents become helpless. They become so helpless that it affects their mental capability. So it is a balancing between the children and the parents to come to a common compromise way so that the household works nicely.
Absolutely. So balancing act is important, and for that you need a sort of a support system where you can freely say enjoy. You can be what you are, and from that point of view, organizations like India Home and other senior organizations play some role in offering a place where seniors create some happy memories. So Nalini, talk to me about um, the significance of having this kind of a group where you have a bonding and you are creating good memories.
Such organizations are extremely helpful, especially in this country, and I think now in India as well. Reason for that is, number one, you have a peer group. You have other people who are coming in and they are constantly looking at, um, what did my daughter do, what did my daughter-in-law do, and they can compare stories. And they learn from each other, believe it or not.
But hearing words of wisdom from Dr. Nalini Juthani ji is a great learning for us, and learning about how IndiaHome is providing an important platform to address these issues is also important. So thanking these two wonderful human beings, offering my pranams to them. So Mukund ji and Nalini ji, thank you very much. और आप सभी का हमारे साथ बने रहने के लिए बहुत बहुत आभार. We move forward together to create this world a better place, and in that direction, individually or as a part of an organization like IndiaHome, whatever best we can do, we should not hesitate, because there is always an end for everything. And now is the time to end this session with lots of good wishes. This is Ashok Vyas. Namaste.
Thank you, Ashok ji.